People always say that you have to have money to make money, and that there's an extraordinary level of sacrifice on the road to success. So how is it that investors like us, who didn't start out with much money and who don't rely on banks and credit, how is it that we can increase our income and build our wealth in a way that doesn't require us replacing one full-time job with another while still enjoying the things in life that matter most to us? That has always been the big question, and this podcast reveals the answers. I am Carrie Like, and this is the Investor Warrior. Hey everyone. Welcome to the Investor Warrior live stream. It's Friday, so TGIF. Today, I have with me my husband, father of my children, business partner. What else are you?
Passionate love. Love of your life.
I have Howie on
I noticed
today.
That didn't come out first.
I have Howie on today. And we did not do a podcast recording last week because we were both in Arizona with our family last week. We took a little vacation with the kids to the Grand Canyon and Sedona. And then I was speaking at a real estate conference there for 5 days. So I did not get a podcast show out, which that's, I think the first time we haven't done one was last week. So we wanted to come on today to talk about, well, just life in general. Life, the ups and downs of real estate entrepreneurship, ups and downs of being a married couple and trying to be in business together, which can have its struggles, but also its rewards, right?
At the same time.
At the same time sometimes. And so we just kind of wanted to start there. So we had this beautiful trip, you guys, out to Arizona. If you've never been out to that part of the world before, you need to go, especially Sedona, Grand Canyon. You've never been out there, right?
Right. So I have actually owned property in Arizona. It was in the greater Phoenix area years and years ago, past life. And during those years, traveled in and out of, the Phoenix airport. And I always thought of Arizona as the desert. And I've always liked Phoenix and the area and Tempe and Scottsdale and that kind of a thing. And have some football history there and that kind of stuff. And so I've always liked it. It's the desert. I always think of it as 110 degrees, in the summer.
It was pretty
dry,
hot.
And dry. And in here in Florida, it's super humid and I do not like the humidity. More to come on that.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Phoenix, but I did not know how amazingly diverse Arizona is.
Yeah.
And its topography, and I learned a ton. And I think there's only 2 states in this country that I've never been to.
You have traveled a lot.
Alaska being one of them. And I've never seen the Grand Canyon. It's always something that I wanted to do.
Right.
So fast forward, we got to the Grand Canyon on a train. Maybe we'll talk about the train. Cool train.
Yeah, and I don't know if we
cool
need
train
to
ride, yeah.
go into detail on the trip, but it was just really, really fun. We just got to do some really cool stuff. We rented some ATVs with the kids.
You're missing my Grand Canyon.
We took a train to the Grand. We're not going to go into detail here.
But I want to tell them about
this. Is about real estate investing, not our vacation.
Yeah. Well, this is a moment.
So anyways,
gotta share the moment though.
What's a moment?
About walking up to the rim.
Oh, okay.
Of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Right, because
okay,
I'm a couple years old, and so I've never seen the Grand Canyon.
Right.
I've seen it in movies.
Okay.
Right, like Chevy Chase's Vacation.
Right.
Right. And I've seen it in pictures.
Right.
And for those of you that have been, I'm sure you can relate to this. But when I walked up to you were there. When I walked up the rim, I was like, my breath was taken away. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like that. That was just.
I know we kept saying,
can't even put it in words.
It almost felt like the Truman Show, like it was a screen. It almost looked like
when you look at it over, it doesn't even look real. It's so amazing.
No, like Adrian said, I wonder if we throw a pebble out there, will we see ripples?
Yeah, it's like on the screen.
Like a screen, yeah.
Anyway, it was amazing. Loved it.
Yeah. So anyways, then Howie and the kids headed home and I stayed for this real estate conference, which was amazing. You guys, I think that there's never a point where you stop learning and growing. I think we'll be going to real estate events until the day we die. There's just so much to learn from other people, and just being around that kind of a group of people that are doing so many different cool deals. And there was such an array of people in that room, from someone who's never bought real estate before in their life to people who were doing $20 million deals.
This
But
was, how many people were there?
there was about 60 people.
That's pretty good size group.
And just being in that room surrounded by such diversity, and learning different people's stories and where they were at and why they were there. And the fact that we were all there in the same room, learning and growing, despite the fact that some people were on chapter 1 and other people were on chapter 50.
Yeah. Can you back up?
Was really, really cool.
Give us a little bit of context as to what this event was about.
So this was a Greg Pino's Power Player event. I've interviewed Greg. He's one of our good friends and mentors. He's been in real estate, you guys, for like 45 years. So he knows a thing or two.
Well, isn't it okay to say he's our personal coach?
Yeah, right? he's our mentor. Yeah. And so I spoke at the event, and I was one of the teaching assistants, and I've been to the Power Players in Tucson. We both went last year. And so this Power Players was a little bit larger. I think the one we went to in Tucson was 40 people. This was 60 people. And it was just really cool. People from all over the country doing real estate transactions or starting out wanting to do real estate. You had developers, agents, brokers, all kinds of different people and all kinds of different ages. I think the youngest we had in the room was 16 years old.
And she's done deals, right? Or she's...
yeah, I think Greg said she's already got $1 million in real estate
she's
transactions.
As an agent.
Yeah, like I
didn't know you could do that.
She just got her, I don't even think she has her driver's license. And God, just an amazing woman. And then I think the oldest was like 87 years old. So you had 16 to 87, all different experience levels, which was really, really cool. So we did a lot of challenging things. We challenged people a lot. Even experienced people were challenged with different exercises that we did. It wasn't just like sitting in the room listening the whole time. We went back and forth between content on real estate, philosophy on life, getting out of the room for field trips, which were adventurous.
Without giving away too much, right?
And were a little bit difficult for some people, but it really got people out of their comfort zone in ways that they have never been before.
And what was the purpose of that?
The purpose was to get them out of their comfort zone, to live an extraordinary life means to do things that ordinary people do not do. And ordinary people didn't do some of the things that we did during these 5 days when we went out.
Or wouldn't do?
Wouldn't do
okay.
During these 5 days that we were there. And so I'm not going to give away any details. If you want information, you can message me. But it was just really fun, life-changing. We have made a lot of changes since we've come back. We've made a lot of life decisions that we've been kind of stewing on. It's just one of those events that you start to question things. And questioning things is always good.
And question things about the world or about yourself?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I would say both. You just start to question things. You never want to stop questioning, right?
Right. Just like you never want to stop growing.
Right.
Yeah. Just like you don't want to watch the news and believe them about COVID.
We're not getting into politics here.
I'm just kidding.
But so that was the event. I think one of the things that I want to talk about today, and I spoke about this at the event, is just this dichotomy of life. And especially in business, when you're starting out in business and real estate entrepreneurship. And I think that not a lot of people understand this dichotomy that life presents to us. And because a lot of people don't understand it, is where people fail in their business endeavors. And what I'm talking about is with life, with business. you can't have, there are some things in life where you can't have one without the other, and they seem very different.
So you need to unpack that a little bit. I'm not
Right.
even sure I understand what you're
So, in nature, right,
Mhm.
things are either growing or they're dying. It's one or the other.
Actually, everything in the universe
Is either
is
growing or dying.
Every entity, even
Yeah.
non-biological entities,
Right.
businesses
Businesses are growing or
either
dying.
growing or dying.
Right. But if you think about it in nature, right, the very living thing
Mhm.
that we're surrounded by, things are either growing or dying. The plants outside, the grass outside, there's no in between.
The universe.
The universe, right? It's not one is growing and dying. You have to have growth. Well, I would say you do have to have death sometimes to have growth. That's where they do like controlled fires, right?
Yes. Now you're getting into a really deep philosophical issue.
Yeah, and
as to how death is the ultimate
rebirth of
is the ultimate
growth.
Is the ultimate reality and is the ultimate rebirth and is ultimately required
for growth,
for life.
So if you look at yourself, you're either growing or you're dying. Just like everything in this universe. When you go to these real estate events and you're doing things that are outside of your control, or you're just taking that next step in your business, like picking up the phone to dial a seller or door knocking, or just doing something in your business that you are really uncomfortable with, but you do it, you're growing. If you're not doing it, you might be dying because you're not pushing yourself. But when you're growing, there can be a lot of pain and discomfort that honestly has to come with the growth. So this is where I'm saying that there are things that have to come with other things that you're seeking. To have success in your life, you have to have failure. Failure comes with success. I don't know any successful person, both dead or alive, people that I don't know, like Thomas Edison, Gandhi, and people I do know, like us and other investors, real estate entrepreneurs. I don't know anyone who has had any level of success without a level of failure to it.
Sure.
I mean, and I think you can relate to that.
Most, I mean, there's all kinds of statistics that I don't have the recall to remember, but there's all kinds of statistics around really successful business people, and most of them have gone bankrupt at least once, all that kind of stuff. So you actually have to have growth without failure. And
it's not just big failures. You can have small failures too. You don't have to have, what I'm saying is in order to be successful, you have to go bankrupt.
Yeah. You don't have to have, but you don't have to have catastrophic.
You don't have to have catastrophic failures, but I don't think you can be successful without failure along the way. I don't think that you can have growth without pain. I don't think that you can have extraordinary without discomfort.
Can I add to what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't think that you can have success without the acceptance of failure, because we're all going to fail. Here's what happens. Most people fail. We've all done this, right? But ultimately, most people fail once or twice or three times at an endeavor. They're excited about doing something. They fail once, twice, three times maybe, and then they give up. Right. So they didn't succeed.
Right.
But they did fail. But what they didn't do is they didn't accept the failure and keep going. So that's my twist to it. You have to be able to accept the failure.
Yeah.
And then move on and keep going. Even if you adjust. I mean, sometimes it just makes sense to make an adjustment and say, this isn't working. I'm going to keep adjusting, but I'm going to keep going. Right.
But don't you think that it's the people who understand this concept are the people who will accept it? The people who don't understand that you have to have failure for success, you have to have pain for growth, you have to have discomfort for extraordinary, are the ones when you're faced with that, because you will be faced with it, are the ones that give up because they say, well, I failed. Because I failed, I didn't succeed. Because this is painful, I'm going to stop. Because this is uncomfortable, I'm not living an extraordinary life. How can you have extraordinary with an uncomfortableness about it?
Right. But you started asking, the question that you asked, I agree. The question that you asked was, don't you think that you have to understand failure? And the answer to that question is yes and no.
The concept of it.
Yes. Because here's my yes and here's my no. Yes. Well, no, because I believe that in this day and age, with all of the information that's available to everybody, with all the podcasting that's done, with all of the stories that you see, you know, there isn't a podcast interviewee, right, guest that doesn't have a great story.
Right.
Many of them have lots of drama involved in it, and so I think most people, if anybody, especially in the audience here, these are the kinds of people that are looking for growth, they're looking for success, they're looking to better themselves, right? That's who we're speaking to here. But so many of us have heard this. Yeah. Intellectually, we know it. Yeah. But a lot of us are still letting it get in our way, letting the fear of failure get in our way. Well,
they're not willing.
They haven't emotionally understood it. Right. There is a difference between intellectually understanding something and emotionally getting it into your nervous system. I agree. And I think that's the trick. To me, that's the trick. That's the distinction between those of us that can know. It's the knowing doing. It's the knowing doing gap. It's the difference between knowing something and doing it. What's that favorite quote from, what's his name? Oh my gosh, what's his name? Les Brown.
Well, Les Brown's mentor once said to him, he said, Brownie, if information alone made, are you going to let me finish the quote? No.
I brought it up.
If information alone made people skinny, rich, and happy, we'd all be skinny, rich, and happy.
Right.
So why aren't we? Because there's a ton of information out there, right?
Exactly. So that's basically what I'm saying, right? So the way that I make the distinction is there's a difference between intellectually understanding something, right, and emotionally getting into your nervous system. Yeah, I agree.
And I think that people aren't willing to go through the pain, the discomfort, the failures. I mean, how many people New Year's resolutions to lose weight sign up for gym memberships, and then they realize that working out is painful, right? Like, you're sore, you're tired. Sometimes you got to wake up early and do it. Like, there's a lot of pain and discomfort to working out, especially when you're first starting and it's a new endeavor. And most people give up because they're not willing to go through the pain. But it's interesting because people who do work out and who have made it a lifestyle of theirs, where it's like an identity. Like, I know for you have an identity where you are just a person that works out. It's like, you don't even think about it. Right. You guys, like, there's been nights where we've had like a big pizza dinner, and then Howie went into the garage to go work out. And I'm like, how can you do that? Like, I'm ready to sit on the couch and watch TV, like a movie with the kids, and he's out there like lifting weights after this big pizza. And he tells me, I just do it because I don't even think about it. Like, I didn't get it done, so I go and do it. I don't think about it.
Right. So you're taking a shower.
Right. Yeah. But it's because you've gotten to a point, that emotional mastery of it, that you almost look forward to the pain. Like, when you work out and you're working out consistently and you're working out a lot, if you're not sore, you're like, I just don't feel good. Like, I feel better when I'm sore. I feel better when I'm fatigued. Like, my muscles are fatigued because it means I've pushed myself and I'm getting stronger and I'm growing, and you get used to that feeling of discomfort and pain.
Yeah. It actually, the neurological reaction is that it's the neuro association to the pain is actually positive. Right. And so that's a really good example of the difference between intellectually understanding something and emotionally understanding it.
Right. And I think this is the same thing in business and real estate entrepreneurship, is that you're going to go through a lot of pain. You're going to go through a lot of discomfort. And I don't think that ever ends, because as your business grows, so do you. As your business grows, your limiting beliefs grow. Your self-doubt might grow or change. There's always going to be these, can I really do this? Right? When you're first starting out, you're like, can I buy a house? And then 10 years down the road, you might be saying, can I do a $20 million deal, right? There's
Right.
always this like questioning, and the
Or
questioning grows.
Or hiring people and being a leader. And
right. And so
problems.
So I don't think that pain and discomfort, it ever goes away. But what happens is it just becomes a part of your life. It becomes a part of you, so that it's just like working out and feeling the pain of working out. It's like, okay, if I'm not feeling the pain, I must not be growing. I must not be doing something. I'm not being, if I'm not uncomfortable, it's boring. Right?
I mean, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. You just get to a point emotionally where it just becomes, you get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's more than that. You actually need it.
Yeah.
And that's where the growth continues.
Right. So I just wanted to get on here and talk about this because I think it's so important to both understand intellectually and emotionally that this is all part of the real estate world. This is all part of going into business. This is all part of anything that you want in your life where you want to change. Mm-hmm. And you made a commitment to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think why people fail in their commitments when you really want something, mm-hmm. I think this is it. I think it gets too painful. It gets too uncomfortable. It gets too much.
Yeah, it is. It's uncomfortable. I mean, for many of us, myself included, mm-hmm. it's uncomfortable to get on the phone and talk to sellers and make propositions. Right. And
ask questions of proposition.
Ask questions of proposition, make offers, think about sitting in somebody's living room. That's a stranger, making those happen, taking the time to do that. Right.
Yeah.
So many of us have other things that we have to do. And, we make a living over here, but we're trying to grow our wealth over here. And
right.
I've got to go do all these uncomfortable things in order to make that happen. I mean, those are big hurdles. Those are big emotional hurdles to get over. It's been a struggle for me.
So it's interesting because we were just talking about this on our walk when we got back, I think, from the event. Mm-hmm. We were talking about how a lot of books and there's a lot of information on here about this topic, mm-hmm. but there's not a lot of information out there on how to overcome it. Like how to...
I think they try.
I think they do, but
it's all intellectual.
I do. It is. I want to give you guys a good resource because I just read it. Some of you may have read it in the past, but Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. I happened to pick it up right before we went to Arizona. Very quick read. There's been a lot of people who have mentioned it to me in the past, so I decided to order it on Amazon. Started reading it. And it's such a simple concept. So I encourage you guys to get the book. Such a simple concept, but it talks about how to take action when you don't want to take action. So of course it goes into the reasons why we don't take action when we want to take action, or why we don't do something when we're committed to doing it. And it has a lot to do with the fact that you're just uncomfortable doing it, whether that be waking up in the morning, setting your alarm an hour earlier, or picking up the phone, right, to call a homeowner. Why do we hesitate, and why do we stop ourselves from doing the things that we know we need to do, even though they're painful and uncomfortable? And it's really, she has this simple exercise. You count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you just do it. And she goes into the science of why this works is because in that 5-second period of time, something happens in your brain, and I'm not going to go over it right now because I don't know enough about it. But something happens in your brain where if you do not take action within those first 5 seconds, you will not take action on it because your brain will start to, your anti-you kicks in.
We talked about this a lot. And yeah. I do understand it a little bit. It's neuroassociative conditioning is what she's doing. And by the way, it's a great how. It is a great how. And I think that, like Carrie said, it is one of the books that actually gets into the how. Maybe does a better job of getting into the how,
as
opposed to intellectualize it. But I even told you have to be careful with it because the way to lock in neuroassociative conditioning is you have to have something that's unique, That's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. It's
Yes.
a unique action.
So you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's an action, a unique action that you're doing over and over and over
Right.
again.
And in order to get it locked in emotional, again, this is in your nervous system, the emotional nervous system. There has to be repetition.
Right.
So you have to practice it. And the third thing, and this is the toughest thing to do, there has to be emotion associated with it.
Right.
The right emotion. Okay.
Positive emotion.
Yeah. Positive. Well, the emotion that you're trying to.
Sure.
Because it could be any emotion.
Sure.
It could be sexual emotion.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Well,
it's what you're trying
I think
to.
that's a pretty positive emotion.
That's true.
I mean, why would you want to use this exercise for a negative emotion?
This is what happens when married couples talk about sex. Okay, so that was pretty funny. So anyway, yeah, whatever it is that you're trying to do,
right?
You have the emotion. So you have those three things, right? You have something that's unique, something that you can repeat, and something that you can put a lot of emotion to. Then you're going to lock it in.
Right.
Now we do this all the time.
Yeah.
With negative things.
Yes.
Negative things happen. There's something unique that happens. It gets repeated a little bit, and then it just boom, it locks in.
You're triggered.
And then you're triggered, right?
Yeah.
So this is creating positive or desired. That's right. That's maybe a little more accurate word. Desired triggers for yourself to get into. So because it can be negative or positive, you have to be careful, because somebody that I know is not the best at getting up in the morning and with the snooze button and has struggled with discipline in this area mightily for most of her life. True.
Let me put this.
Hold on.
No. I'm going to defend myself here. Let me just put this in context, you guys. I struggle to get up before 6 a.m., 6:30. And some of you might be like, that is pretty early.
Her nickname is 11. Tell them why your nickname is
11. For a little while there, I was sleeping a lot. And honestly, in all seriousness, I was going through some health issues, and I just was requiring a lot of sleep, and it was making me more tired.
It was backfiring.
But I just want to put this in context here that yes, I struggle to get up in the morning before 6 a.m., which is already early. But when you have kids and you're running a business and all that, you got to get up early to start the day. You have to have that time to yourself. And when I wake up at 6:30, I don't have that time to myself, because I just jump out of bed and I'm reactive because the kids are already up and I have no time to myself. So we've been really working on this lately.
Yeah, we've been doing good
getting up earlier.
And we've been doing good too. But I want to get back to this thing about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique, which could be used fantastically. But be careful, because if you fail, I'm going to just say it flat out. If you fail and you're using your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing, and you hit the snooze button, right, or you don't get up, all of a sudden 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 will be a negative trigger for you, and that will happen too. So you have to be careful with it. Make sure you better goddamn well get up.
The other morning, I think it was a weekend. I don't know if it was during the week, but anyways, I said, we're going to use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method to get up a little bit earlier tomorrow and start our day. And the alarm went off, and Howie looked at me, and I counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I literally rolled over to cuddle with him and go back to sleep. And when we finally woke up, 7 a.m. Okay, it wasn't like we were sleeping in all morning, but we slept.
To me, that's sleeping in.
We slept in a little bit. That's when we talked about how this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 can really backfire on you, because it can also create an anchor for undesirable actions, like not waking up. Rolling over and turning the snooze button.
So now 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is not going to work for her, so it has to be something else.
You guys, we have woken up at 4 a.m. for the last 5 days. And there's been a few times where I woke up and I said, we got to get out of bed.
Yeah, you've been great.
I have encouraged you.
Yeah,
so
it's so much easier.
I think we should give credit where credit is due. I have been waking up at 4 a.m.
Well, that brings up another, if we're doing this as sort of in the context of couples, right?
Yes.
Okay. Brings up another couples topic that's super powerful. I think powerful is the right word I'm looking for, which is when you do things together and you make commitments together, and then you help each other follow through on those commitments. Yeah. There's so much power to that.
Yeah, you're my accountability
buddy.
But
it's just like the neurological trigger. If you don't both, or one of you doesn't follow through, then it becomes this really negative thing. And so it can be super powering or super disempowering. And it is up to your initial willpower. Right. And discipline, whether or not you're going to make it powering or disempowering.
But accountability,
it always comes down to that.
Accountability is key. And we could go over that on another episode, but
I want to modify
coming up
that.
on 30 minutes
I want to
here.
modify that a little
Yeah.
bit. Accountability is helpful.
Yes.
Discipline, self-discipline is key. Discipline equals freedom. So says Uncle Jake in The Warrior Kid.
Yeah.
Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah. But it's good to find a moving buddy. I found my moving buddy.
You're right.
Toy Story.
It's very pleasant.
Our favorite line. Little Bo Peep. I found my moving buddy. Buzz Lightyear.
I'm a moving buddy.
All right, you guys.
That's it
for today. We've got a lunch meeting coming up with our assistant.
We have to do this again because there's like so much more.
Yeah, there is a lot more that we can dive into, but we just felt inspired to come on here, coming out of this event and really starting to get into our own life and the changes that we're making and the decisions that we're making.
Yeah, we have some big changes coming.
Yeah, and we're feeling the pain, but but that is all part of the process. And if you can learn to love the process, because there is pain and discomfort in the process, you will be successful. So just learn to love the process, whether it's working out, taking that next step in your business, whatever, doing that next uncomfortable thing.
Embrace the pain, baby.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you all on the next episode. And remember, you are only one deal away. Take care.